Okay, so we are live. Welcome to this week's episode of Startup Weekly. This week I am joined by Deepak Kumar, who is the founder and creator of Habitate.io. Habitate is a community platform that allows any business or company online to add community discussions to their website. So Deepak, very welcome to you and thank you for joining.
Thank you for inviting me, Gordon. It's a great pleasure to be here.
Amazing. Okay, so maybe to start things off, you can give us a bit of an insight into your own background, a little bit more on maybe just introduce yourself and who you are, and then a little bit about Habitate and how it came to be.
Yeah, so I think soon after my college, I really wanted to start off something. So I tried a couple of things, but I think like the usual stories, it didn't work out to begin with. Whatever your first venture, it always goes wrong. So I think by 2018, I came into this picture. I started having this idea of B2B SaaS products. So I built my first product in Ocasa.io. So it had a bit of good traction. And I think 2019, somewhere in the beginning, the idea of helping creators to go online and set up a community for them, whatever it is that they do, made a lot more sense to me. I think I was inspired by a lot of things looking into the internet. There was this one TED talk where it was mentioned about collaborative leadership, okay, how the future needs not just one leader but group of leaders coming together without any exchange of egoism or anything of the pure exchange of ideas, then moving forward. So, and then there was in the other part of the side, browsing websites and communities like Hindi hackers and so on. You get to see how the world has changed. Today, makers are very open about sharing whatever is that they are working upon right from day one. I mean, if you look back, in let's say a few years ago, it's more of an culture that if you're building something as a company, if you're building something, it is better to keep it as a secret with you. You don't really want to share it with anyone. But it's completely the other way around. The makers start posting pictures and share everything that they do on a daily basis. And even if you look at the customer side, they are more about okay with sharing everything, their personal data, in exchange of a better experience. They're okay with sharing their personal stories too. So I thought, this is actually a great thing to have. When you're trying to solve problems, if people are ready to pitch in however they are, they want to be helped, it helps both the parties really well. Now the bridge, a place where where these conversations could happen was really missing. I thought, every website, if you're a creator, you own a business, then once you put in all the efforts to bring some stranger to your website, then in your website, you need to have a space where you can also have these conversations, where you could share whatever it is that you're working on. Okay, you could post your updates, you could write your blogs, as well as your customers are able to engage with you, share their feedback, okay, their stories, what happens after purchasing the solution from you. These happening in one side, I thought this could be a huge value, and the idea of collaborative leadership came into picture for me. Maybe if businesses could collaborate with the customers, make the customers into champions into their business, involve them in the decision making process, and turn them into leaders as well, and then do solve the problem together. Okay.
Yeah,
that made a lot of sense to me. I thought, if every company goes down that lane, I think the chance of even attaining the product market fit goes very high, because you end up building something that people actually want.
for sure. So yeah, you've touched on a lot of points there, and I think one of the main things I took from it was how you mentioned about building that bridge and making that connection tighter between a business and the customer.
Yeah,
we can touch on that again, but I guess how I guess is Habitate making that happen? And you're obviously building a platform to allow online businesses to facilitate and nurture that relationship. I guess how do how do you explain to someone or the average person what Habitate is and what you allow people to do?
So it's typically like, how you use probably like maybe Shopify to set e-commerce stores, or you use Wix to set up your website, something like that. You go to Habitate and then you set up your own community space. You customize it, you make it, look as close to your brand, the colors and everything, the theme, and then put it onto your website seamlessly so that nobody feels like it's something alienated. If they feel it like it's part and parcel of your product. Okay. And then it's integrated onto your website. And then when somebody lands onto your website and they want to have some sort of conversation, maybe they want to touch point with your existing customers, ask some questions to them. Then you direct them over there and start having this conversation. So people can, the host can create multiple channels for various purposes. Maybe the default ones are one for blogging, one to collect some feedback, want to share your product roadmap, and one channel, to keep it very open, uh, towards the problem that you're solving, and allowing people to talk about it more transparently. That makes sure the community is not very confined about you and your product, but it's about the problem that or the cause that you stand for. That lets people to discuss more open, more about things. All this happening from one side is what I think makes I think that's the idea.
Awesome. Yeah. No, that's great, because I think for me and other technical people, maybe we're able to easily understand like what a product like Habitate does. I think it's nice to just get a clean and simple explanation for people maybe who aren't as technical and don't understand the nuances of the technology as well. But what you're effectively doing is you're bridging that gap for the consumer and the business, and you're creating that platform that can bolt onto a website that can allow a business to develop a community, no matter what type of business they are, and really help to nurture that consumer relationship.
Yeah.
Very
awesome. Right.
Cool. So I guess what I wanted to touch on then was, what's your typical user or customer look like from a business standpoint? Because I think with a lot of the trends that we're seeing at the moment, there's a lot of businesses that are creating communities around their products and services, and maybe businesses that were typical e-commerce businesses or selling products online, they're now understanding and realizing the importance of building a community and the nuances that go along with that, I guess. And I'd be interested to know who you are kind of targeting as your typical customer, or who do you see as the ideal customer for a product like yours?
So we're looking at, as you rightly said, we're looking at the e-commerce stores because they handle a lot of, customer queries. We call it customer, the chance of, a customer having a question that's related to whatever that you do is much higher in that case scenario. So we're looking at them probably. Second, we are looking at, SaaS companies. Because typically when somebody buys a SaaS product of yours, and they need a lot of help around it. And many of the SaaS products today that whatever out there in the market are more of a canvas products. So typically people can go ahead and use however they wanted to make better use of it. And you could also see people sharing their own tips and using the product better. So we are looking at the SaaS market. Third is we are looking at the special creators, people who teach online, people, bloggers, people who write stuff, and there are a lot of newsletters as well. So these people, could create a community around and the value that they provide.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think it's interesting also to touch on that trend of even like what you might consider who are like individual sole founders or people who are creators and content creators, because there's such an opportunity for them to build an audience on social channels, like typical social networks. But oftentimes they are trying to rely on multiple channels, and I guess, having their own community platform or their own place for people um, to congregate around their product or their personal brand is something that could be very powerful for them. And obviously you're trying to enable that. And I guess it's bringing all those channels from social media back to like a central website, and then a platform like Habitate can facilitate a place for all those people to meet together.
Yeah, I mean, there is nothing really wrong in having social media hub or having a group out there. So building a community is not just about even having a forum. It's a lot of things put together. Having this newsletter, having a chance to get to talk to them. It's a part and it's a part of everything put together. So what we are internally trying to do is that when you let's say I build something and somebody visits my website looking for information about me or wanting to talk to me, asking from there, once the visitor lands onto our website, asking them to go elsewhere to get an answer didn't sound really right. Okay, they are already on Facebook and then they are browsing out there and they want to find you. And if you have a page or group out there and they're able to get in touch, that's great. That's a customer touch point for you. They have a question right there. But once they have, it's like they have come to your store. They have walked into your physical store, and they are asking you a question, and you asking them to go elsewhere to find an answer. Is really rude actually. So I think that's what I'm trying to pitch in. You need to have something on your website that becomes a center stage of your community, and you have this other customer touch points everywhere else, wherever your customers are.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always nice to have that central hub back at your own website to foster that, for sure. So what do you see maybe with regards to community and the larger macro trends maybe in the industry? Maybe you can give us some insights as to what you're seeing and how maybe some companies or brands are leveraging community in that way.
The way I see is that community is on the big trend now. Everybody wants to build a community. It's great. People have understood that building a building a company itself is an opportunity to drive a group of people towards a cause. Okay, that's where that led us here, building a community around whatever you do. So given that scenario, every website is going to have that community on their side. Today the perceived idea of a community is something larger. The moment somebody wants to build a community, they start thinking about growth. The numbers, the average number of members that you got, and the active members. But I think it's going to get to a point where there's going to be a lot of small communities. Whatever the business that you do, even the small businesses, SMBs, small sized restaurants, everyone, they're going to have their own set of audience belonging to their own small family, same cloud of community, where they discuss about close to the heart things about whatever that they do, how they are doing things, and how their customers are feeling about it. I think that's the sort of it's going to the metric of how you define a community as a successful one is typically going to be viewed much different from how it is perceived, is what I think.
Yeah, that makes sense. Absolutely. And I think I agree with you on seeing that macro trend with a swing back towards people building out niche communities. I think as more creativity happens in the online space, that allows for more and more kind of niches and sub niches to be explored, and different communities being created around those more intricate niches and topics that people begin to specialize in and build out. So yeah, I think it's very interesting. I guess what would you see as the primary motivating factor for, if I'm a business owner or a startup or an online business, what would you say is the number one reason why I should start building a community today, if I haven't already?
So when you have a business, your business is all about, your customers. Okay. How well, do you provide the experience to them, the entire customer experience. That's what eventually is going to differentiate you from the rest of the world. Not the features, okay, but the customer experience that you provide. Given that, when you say, a business and customer relationships, there are a lot of, dark spots in there that you do not, many businesses do not know exactly about their customers. Let's say, what happens after the purchase of your product? Okay, what happens after that when they go home and unwrap the box and start using your product? Okay, and what are they using it for? Okay, were they able to successfully accomplish that goal? Okay, probably in your survey, you might throw this question, was the package delivered to you? Was it safe? Is it working? Okay, that's where you end up with, but not the other part. They bought it for some specific reason that they want to achieve. Okay, were they able to successfully achieve them? Okay, these stories are quite often, hidden from the brands. Okay, when you build a community, okay, forget the sales conversion, have this conversation feedback, but this part, okay, you are exploring much more about your customers. You're discovering something about them that you would have never discovered otherwise, not even if you're stalking. This is open conversation where people are deliberately sharing the story with you in a trust, okay, that somehow you're going to pick the story and make it even better next time. Okay, I think that's something every brand, every maker who wants to continuously innovate, provide exceptional customers experience has to focus
on. Amazing. Yeah. I think it's something that a lot of, I think maybe it's something that a lot of companies overlooked in the online space for a while. I think obviously any successful business has got a very good customer focus, but I think nurturing that relationship is something that kind of is overlooked or has been overlooked quite a bit in maybe the e-commerce space and that space in general. But like you said, brands are beginning to understand the importance of nurturing that and really taking that relationship to a deeper level. So I guess the next thing I wanted to touch on was kind of around Habitate maybe, and well, it's kind of a mix between Habitate and your own experience with building a product. And have you noticed, I guess, ways or patterns in which people want to use your product that maybe is different than you originally intended as you build it out? And maybe this touches on features that people are suggesting or things that they're looking for with a product like Habitate. So I guess the question is, have you had people suggest or want to use your product in different ways than you originally anticipated?
Yeah, I have received few feature requests, and even I've seen companies using it in completely different purpose than what I intended to. One, initially I hadn't had this idea of community for internal purpose. Okay? It only struck me when a huge organization came in and they said they are looking to have this community, where all their employees and who are distributed all around pan India are able to get together and start sharing ideas with each other. So, and while I was having this discussion with them, that was new too, having this internal communication, using a community for internal workflows and then exchanging ideas with each other, allowing any employee of the company, okay, to share their viewpoint, okay, and the board members are able to look at, okay, how the conversations are happening around them. So, but then it also struck me, I mean, the community, should be of both these things. If a company is ready to start a community, it should not be like, one for the internal or one for the external. If some way they could find, to do it together at one place, invite their employees as well as their customers to be a part of it. Okay. Harnessing both these powers together. Okay. And making it look like, or, making it like one family. We are in this together. Our customers, us, our employees, we are all in this together, and we're going to solve this problem. Okay. I think that kind of generates a whole, different, perspective, different, way of building communities, than what we see today. Because today we really see this line: one, the community internal, and then the external. Maybe for Slack for internal communication, here and there. But I'm saying, what if we could, bring both of these together and harness it as one?
Yeah, for sure. It's a great point. And I guess how do you see that impacting you and building out Habitate, I guess, is kind of what I'm getting at as well.
Impacting us, I think, I could see that in the feature requests that we see. For example, for the internal use case, we receive feature requests as, when we write a post, can we include PPTs into it?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what internal is all about. Somebody has a presentation to do,
Mm-hmm.
But then we also see that that is also possible. That is also something that people would want in the external too. So if you have built something, it's great to show it to the customers. Is where we are at. Okay. So I think we are at the moment, depends upon the all the feature requests that we get. We are really focusing on the ones that's very generic in nature, that doesn't fix into any particular niche case, but it fits into the whole idea of building community, and building the community the right way is
Mm-hmm.
what we typically looking at. Because I've seen a couple of feature requests that walked into us, and we've seen it in some of the products in the market too, where there is a broad where there is a bot that crawls into a community, and default it kind of likes every post that written by the host or something to keep the conversations going.
Mm-hmm.
And we have seen those feature requests coming to us, from the brands who are really worried about, when they start off, it's going to look empty. What if not much attraction out there? We might look bad in the outside.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But we didn't really end up doing that. Okay. We strictly, restrained from it. We didn't even plan to do it. Instead, we educated them. We spent a lot of time with them. In them, it all starts off, this way. You need to start somewhere. It's going to start as zero. Okay. And if somebody is not, liking what you do, I think that gives you a message as well. So something you need to go home and then think about it and come back. I think that's kind of, directing us, the product roadmap offers in a very good way. I mean, the philosophical idea of we should never do something, the other way around, no shortcuts.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. No bots. None
Yeah.
of this should disrupt. Is community is about people. Yeah, and the whole idea of the building this community is for the business to understand the true nature of the customers with transparency. So everything that we do, every feature that we build, has to focus on that.
Yes.
And even if we start building anything else, and even if the engagement goes higher, but we lose that one value for which we started for, I think everything falls.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a great point, in that you want to keep what you're building in alignment with your own values as a person and as a business, but also ensuring that you translate that into what you're providing for your customers and other people as well, because you don't want to compromise yourself or your values for what you're building, like say for one customer,
Yeah, I mean, like, even if we, let's say, even if we do and make it happen, or somebody doesn't make it happen for them, eventually at some point it's going to backfire, is what I believe in.
Mm-hmm.
Shortcuts is not always the right option. So I think it's better to go down this lane, even if it's a bit of slower when starting off a community without these bots and stuff. It's going to take some time, but building a community, of course, takes time.
Mm-hmm.
It's like starting off a new nation. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
your own flag. Okay, your own identity, your own culture. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and it is your one chance to build a nation, build a tribe that you dream of.
For sure.
Right,
Absolutely.
as a business, you got this power now. Okay, we always dream about what's the ideal policies are, how a country should go about things. We criticize all of these efforts. I think when you run a business and when you start off a community, here is your chance. Okay, you don't want discrimination, you can have that in your community. Okay, you
Yes.
can start treating you can start treating everybody equally. You could lead the way.
Absolutely, yeah, for sure. It has to come from the top down, and yeah, all these things take time with regards to nurturing that community
Yeah.
from beginning to where you want it to be. Absolutely. So, how do you find, I guess, the process and the challenge of building a community tool itself? I guess while you're probably also trying to build a bit of a community around that, and with your initial customers and helping to nurture your own community. How do you find that balance and that challenge?
I think it's not really challenge as in, but that's exactly what we are advocating to everybody else in the world too,
Mm-hmm.
right? So we are asking them. So you probably running a business for yourself, and we are also asking you to start off a community. I think what I learned is that when you do this, building a community around your business or something is entirely different from building a community as a business itself.
Mm-hmm.
You when you let's say when you want to build a community of these people, and that's how you want to, that's your business at all, you focus on keep it engaging, more active side.
Mm-hmm.
You want discussions to happen every day. You want, you focus all on that. When you're trying to build a community around your business, some days it could be very, sometimes it could be very passive. Okay, and that's okay too. Okay, so because too much of pushing, trying to bring them back to your community every single day might not work. Okay, it might backfire.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you can, it is like a open safe space for customers to walk in whenever they want to. Okay, and they walk in, you provide this exceptional service right away. It's like your lobby, it's like your launch in the in your store. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
anybody can walk in, and if you try to push them, even if they don't have anything to buy from you, but you want them to be in the launch all day long. Okay, it's going to entirely backfire someday soon. Okay, they're going to get bored. So for
Mm-hmm.
those reasons, I think this is, sometimes it's going to be very passive, building a community around a business, and I could start seeing it. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
initially, I'm appreciating. I think that's happening very well for me. It's working out. People are putting out feedback whenever they feel like, and whenever they feel put something. My goal is to attend to it in less than 24 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and leave no post without a comment or something. I make sure every anytime somebody posts in there, they get a comment or reply to it right away, so they feel like they are being attended to. Okay,
Yeah.
so I think that is those are the goals that I took. Okay, these are the frameworks. This is me building a community around Habitate, using Habitate.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is the culture and values. These are the goals that I set for myself, and I'm playing with it.
Amazing. Yes, absolutely. I love that, and I think it comes down to, yeah. I mean, it's building a community is certainly not easy, like we've mentioned, but it really comes down to satisfying those initial community members and making sure that you are attentive and um, answering their problems in a timely and reasonable fashion. I think as
Yeah.
well. Um, yeah, so maybe we can touch on a little bit about your own entrepreneurial journey, or I guess, and maybe can you tell us a bit about what you enjoy most about your work and what you do in the line of work that you do?
Hmm. I think I wanted to get into this space, entrepreneurship from very early stage. I think right from my college days, I tried so many things, um, lots of amateurish ideas, wanted to scale fast, want to do something.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess, I never really wanted to do anything else.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is all I know. Whether whatever it works or not, okay, whatever it may happens, not even really bothered about how it goes on future. I think that's what drives me doing this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, not the yesterday's results doesn't seems to affect me, and the tomorrow's uncertainty doesn't seems to scare me. Okay. So given that that sort of circumstance, I always ended up trying to do something new again and again, again and again, again. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, how do I put it? What was the other question?
I guess like what do you enjoy most about it? It's obviously something you've wanted to do for a while, and like you said, you've been working for yourself and doing it. I guess it's I don't know. It's a path that a lot of people want to go down, and maybe some people um, struggle to make the leap to working for someone else to being an entrepreneur. So I guess I was just wondering what's the real
I
motivating
guess
factor, what you enjoy
I
most.
guess I like it when I see somebody, when you make something and you see somebody making use of it.
Hmm.
Okay, that's a joy.
Absolutely, yeah,
I think uh, I'm making things happen just for that to see.
for
Okay,
sure.
uh, even today, to be very open, I stalk every website that has Habitate today every day. Okay,
Hmm. Hmm.
I go onto each one of my customer websites. Okay, and I look at how things are happening, how the conversations are going, if it's public. So are they having a good time out there? So I think even if it scales, I think I'd be continuing to do it. Even if it goes to 100, 200, I'll be trying to go to as many sites as possible every single day. Look at them, because I think that gives me a lot of joy. You make something and people are using it. Okay, it
Yes,
impacts them on some level, and you could see it. I think that's a pure joy. I think that's the only factor that motivates me. I think primarily.
absolutely, yeah. That's awesome. Um, I'm I'm going to kind of wrap up maybe with this last question about maybe some advice for some fellow entrepreneurs or people who want to um, start their own business. And obviously, with Startup Sanctuary, that's what we're trying to foster
Yeah.
within people as well. So maybe what are some of your biggest lessons learned from an entrepreneurial standpoint with maybe building Habitate or any of your other entrepreneurial endeavors?
I think you need to start. That's the point, and then you got to learn it on the way. Okay. It's
Hmm.
not the other way around. It doesn't work like the usual college stuff where you get to learn something for a period of 4 years and then you come out to start working on them. It doesn't work that way. Even if you do try to go for some sort of, let's say, if you build some sort of entrepreneurship school, when you
Hmm.
learn whatever it's in the books, whatever you see it in the video center, whatever you learn from the lectures, and then when you finally try it out, something is going to be different. Okay,
Hmm.
there's going to be a surprise for sure.
Always,
Okay,
yeah.
when you actually try to build something. So I think it's okay to not know everything. Okay, it's okay to not figure out everything.
Hmm.
Okay, okay. I think it's going to take a lot more time, and it's not going to happen in a day, not in a month, not even. It most probably doesn't even happen even in a year or two. Okay. Even bigger businesses that you see today and then you admire, some of them still haven't figured out answers to a few questions that they might have. That keeps happening.
Hmm.
Okay, so you need to appreciate that uncertainty. You need to appreciate that black holes, okay, black spots which you don't clearly have no idea about it, but then still go about it. Okay, that with with great curiosity. Okay,
Hmm.
how am I going to explore that? It's not that you need to let them disappear or you not care about it, but then the curiosity to figure out the answers to those questions, in pursuit of it again and again every day. Okay,
Hmm.
I think that's gonna keep going. The second thing I would say is uh, don't really worry about the rejections or criticisms or anything of that sort. There is a billion people out there. Okay, and there are millions of if you're a B2B, there are millions of companies. And if you're a B2C, there are billion
Hmm.
people out there. These are all the potential users that you can be provided. So there is really, very slim chance that you're going to end up with being liked by everyone, okay, or whatever is that is going to be used by everyone.
Hmm.
So you need to focus on, the good things, take, criticisms, feedbacks in a positive way, and go about it and keep going. Because when you in entrepreneurship, I've spoken to a lot of people and myself too. We feel like giving up on most of these days. When things aren't going well. Our graphs are always our emotional graphs are always this way.
Hmm.
On some days we feel high. Okay, when somebody appreciates us, we feel okay, we did something right. And then on the other days, we feel like this is not working.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I think the ones that, eventually come out successful or, make it happen are those, who don't give up on those nights where they feel like they want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
They wake up and try it one more time, probably in a different way
Mm-hmm.
than the previous days, and see if it works this time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I think
Absolutely.
that is very important. I have this, board where I put this, number out there.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, I put the number as 900,000. So I thought these are the total number of customers that I can probably end up having. Let's say it takes 100 years or whatever it is,
Mm-hmm.
900,000 customers I can reach out to. So every time somebody rejects me, somebody says, clear no to whatever I'm providing, I make it 8,999,999.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I feel there is still 8,999 opportunities out there.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a one. It's a dip in the bucket that I lost.
Yes.
Yeah. I think that will keep, people going far.
Amazing. Yeah, I love that. It's a great way to approach it and to look at it. And always keeping one eye on the opportunity that is there.
Yeah.
Cool. So what is next for Habitate?
Habitate. So idea is to see more websites having our community.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So if by Q3 or Q4 of this year we could reach 100 websites, that would be awesome. Okay. The good thing is we are already crossed 10% of the mark.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We are there. So we just 90% more. I think we'll probably get there soon.
Amazing.
So yeah, I think that's the goal that I have in mind. Let's see where it goes from there on. No bigger things than that. Let's focus on, next immediate thing is 100 websites having community tab, and somebody clicks it and you could see a community powered by Habitate.
For sure. Amazing. Cool. Well, people can find more about you and about Habitate at habitate.io. Deepak, thank you very much again for taking the time to chat and give us all your insights on everything community and community building. So it's been a pleasure to chat, and we will talk to you again very soon.
So thanks for inviting me again. I think I had a great chat. Thanks for all those questions. It made me think a lot.
Awesome. Thank you, Deepak. Cheers.